Welcome to Velocity City, where you get to know about all the exciting news and updates about our beloved sport, Formula 1. Today, we will discuss how the FIA is going to ban the controversial FLEXI-WING from the Singapore Grand Prix onwards. We will discuss in detail about everything, but before we get started, be sure to subscribe and press the bell icon to get regular updates from Velocity City. Let's get started. Rule bending is frequently pushed to the limit in Formula 1, and the teams that find loopholes tend to succeed. However, things have recently been pushed a little too far. For years, flexi-wings have been a source of contention between teams and the FIA, and now, according to the teams, flexi-wing issues have come to light again. Around the time of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, it was rumoured that some groups received advice to modify the designs of their front wings to avoid breaking any rules. I think the only area I would question today is maybe the flexing of the wing elements, said Herbie Blush, the senior advisor to the FIA race directors in a podcast. However much weight the FIA have to put on the wings, when you actually look on a TV at an onboard shot, you can actually see the wings move. And I remember I used to sit there with a ruler trying to work out on the screen and race control how far that front flap is going down, or that rear wing is moving. All teams must abide by the existing requirements, including a load test on the front and rear wings to ensure they can withstand a specific amount of force. These tests are in place to ensure that all the teams follow Article 322 of the F1's technical rules. According to this rule, all parts that affect a car's aerodynamic efficiency must be rigidly secured and immobile with respect to their frame of reference defined in Article 3.3. Furthermore, these components must produce a uniform, solid, hard, continuous, impervious surface under all circumstances. But it is difficult to create anything completely stiff. No matter how sturdy or thick anything is, it will always move when applied with the proper force, because at some point you have to declare it as powerful enough. The FIA has load testing that the teams must follow. It probably won't flex if a front wing of 3 feet thick material is installed on a Formula 1 car, but it will also wreck the vehicle. The FIA test assigns the teams a predetermined level that they claim to be satisfied. The issue is that you can always tell when to let your wing flex and when you have a benchmark you need to hit. Toto Wolff said, "It's going to be interesting." I think with the Aston Martin, you've seen that they took a step backwards with the wings moving less or whatever. I don't know, let's wait and see. I don't know who is exploiting that to more of a degree, not a bigger degree than others. But if maybe a Red Bull is half a second slower or something, that would be nice, but I don't think it will be the case. With that, Wolff hopes Mercedes can do something similar in the future. I think where we are, we just need to take the step that McLaren and Aston Martin have achieved in one go. Not just a 2 lengths update, but a 5 lengths update also. And then you're back into the game. So yeah, I think it's possible. Someone tweeted an interesting theory. Last time Toto accused Red Bull of getting advantage with flexi wings, they come up with a revised wing that was even quicker. Clueless businessman Toto doesn't seem to learn anything about car design, does he? In other words, there are many methods to pass the test while maintaining a flexible wing, but why would you want one in the first place? It lessens drag, and your automobile can continue to speed because there is less drag when the wing bends back. But this also has another advantage. At the Monza Grand Prix, you want as little drag as possible because of those substantial high-speed straights. But there are also some very low-speed turns, such as a chicane after the pit straight. So you also need the adequate downforce to navigate those corners. With a flexible wing, you can produce a lot of downforce while moving slowly. Still, as you accelerate, the wing will bend into a more aerodynamic form, facilitating airflow over it and lowering drag. The Italian Grand Prix may be their last appearance if the FIA has it their way, at least until the teams figure out a method to avoid the testing once again. After Monza, the rulebook will get a new technical instruction, regions of purposefully designed localized compliance and relative motion between adjacent components to deliver a significant boost to aerodynamic performance. But how will the FIA stop it now when the teams have been breaking the rules for decades? The teams are now required to submit assembly drawings or images and cross-sections showing the fixation of the rear wing elements to the rear wing end plate, the rear impact structure and the pylons, and assembly drawings or images and cross-sections showing the fixation of the rear wing pylons to the rear impact struct. You must have seen Alpine's rear wing moving everywhere this season. Your wing will undoubtedly swing backwards at a high speed through a chicane if it travels that quickly, minimalizing the drag it produces. That wing was the subject of several complaints from McLaren at the time. although in more recent races it hasn't moved nearly as it did. After the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the FIA required the teams to attach those tiny yellow reference dots to their rear wings. This view from Baku's pit straight shows how the rear wings of the Red Bull and subsequently the Mercedes change as they enter the first turn. When they're moving down the straight at full power, the branch leans back, but when they brake, the wind bends back because less force is exerted on the wing by the air flowing over it. The Mercedes front wing from the same race is seen in this footage. These moving wings generated a great deal of debate in 2021. FLEXI-WINGs resurfaced in 2022 despite the FIA's improvements to the regulation since everyone was accused of cheating. Check out the Mercedes front wing in action from the previous year. Observe how the top portion of the front wing has been chopped. At high speeds, the outside of the wing must thus tilt back. Ferrari's front wing did the same thing the previous year. Last year, it was pretty well known that everyone was engaging in it, but the FIA took no action over the off-season. Thus, it was back again this year. These photos are from this year's Dutch Grand Prix. Just see how quickly those front components moved. Yet this happens on one of the calendar's slowest courses. Will the FIA's new decision prevent this from occurring? Perhaps for the remainder of the campaign, but don't be surprised if the flexing wing returns in 2024. There has been a lot of discussion on who this would affect the most, but as the video demonstrates, everyone is participating. Aston Martin had to make improvements after their recent slump in performance was generally attributed to a covert FIA inquiry into its flexing wings. Fernando Alonso may be the favourite to win the race in Singapore, which will be the first race with the new flexi-wing limits and testing in place if every team on the grid is impacted in the same manner that Aston Martin was. Mike Crack, the team manager of Aston Martin, remarked, "I cannot speak for the other teams, but for us, it will not be a headache." Although Aston Martin has often said that the modifications they made around the Spanish Grand Prix simply didn't operate as intended, I don't believe that to be the case. They have improved their technique, with Fernando Alonso finishing second and posting the quickest lap at Zandvoort. Who will suffer the most when all the teams accusing Aston Martin of cheating and claiming the FIA caught them come to Singapore with new wings or patches and tape all over the place to prevent wings from flexing? It's hard to predict whether each team will have a different performance game from the flexing wings, but I'm sure many of you will be crossing your fingers that Red Bull will be the team most negatively impacted. Who will suffer the most from this regulation change then? There you have it. What is your opinion on flexing wings? Which team will be the most affected by the ban? Will it be Red Bull? What are your thoughts? Tell us in the comment section below.